Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Callie and today we're going to be talking about what are you creating? So what happens in your life is not really about good luck or bad luck. It depends on you, your thoughts, your belief, and your overall vibration or frequency or energy. These things are the foundation of what will drive your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions. And these are the tools that you use to deal with challenges that you will inevitably encounter in your life. This is really what creates our life. So we need to be aware of what and who we really are. What are your beliefs, your thoughts, and your overall energy or frequency right now? Many people really don't know. They are not aware of themselves, and so they're walking along blindly in life, just stumbling along without really knowing who they are, what tools they have, what they truly have within them. For the purpose of this post, I'm going to use an analogy. So imagine you're wanting to cook a special meal for a special occasion, and you walk into your kitchen, but what you are greeted with is everything is strewn around, out of the cupboards, cupboard doors are open, all of the bench space is full of random items, some of them not even from the kitchen. You also have dirty dishes and rubbish stacked up in the sink, and when you open the fridge, it's full of stale and rotting food. So with all this, of course, you're not going to be able to cook the lovely meal you're intending. You need to do some preparation to make your workspace usable in order to cook the lovely meal. And in this analogy, the untidy, disorganized kitchen is the state of your mind. So most people don't realize that their thoughts are disorganized and chaotic. There's a great quote, I think Albert Einstein might have said it. The mind makes a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So your mind is basically a tool that you can use in your life. But if you are led by your mind, ruled by your mind, your life is going to be total chaos and you won't know why. So for example, many people have an intention to do something, and so they'll sit down, they do it for a couple of minutes, and then their mind will race around, and if they're not aware of their mind and in control of their thoughts, they will follow the thoughts. One of the thoughts might be going back to your abusive childhood when you were up to 10 years old. And so you follow the mind and you think about that. Your mood comes down and you feel terrible. And then when you finally return to what you're trying to do, you've wasted 15 minutes going back to the past and following your mind unnecessarily. The mind is racing and chaotic, and you have no awareness of what you're even thinking. This is how many people behave in the world, and it's no wonder that there are so many mental health problems and people have no idea why. The second part of the analogy is the dirty dishes and the rubbish stacked up everywhere in the kitchen. And this represents the quality of your thoughts. So, once again, many people are not aware of the quality of their thoughts. It's not easy to become aware, but are you thinking negative, life contracting thoughts most of the time that lead to negative emotions? Or are you thinking positive, life expanding thoughts that will lead to positive emotions and raising your vibration? Once again, most people have no idea that this is like dirty dishes stacked up. If that continues on, it will mean that they're not able to utilize that workspace, the workspace being yourself. You're not able to utilize your full potential because you have all this rubbish and dirty dishes, which are negative thoughts. For example, are you thinking about your childhood and how your mother abused you? When you think of what happened and how she mistreated you, are you then becoming angry or resentful or full of grief? Are you thinking what an awful person she was? Or are you thinking that shouldn't have happened? Both of these are negative thoughts. One is negatively judging someone, and the other one is not even accepting that something has happened. Once again, these are very common things that people think, but they're very damaging. Another part of your life to look at is, do you have people in your life in the present who are also, every time you see them, they are criticizing and putting you down, chipping pieces off you? If this is the case, then that burden could be leading to a non-ending stream of negative thoughts, things that those people have said, worrying about the next time you see them, worrying about whether what they say about you is true, harsh criticisms. And this is a burden that you may want to do something about, but we'll talk about that later. Just be aware that these kind of things are adding to the quality of your thoughts. And the third part of the analogy is looking into the fridge. This equates to looking at your inner beliefs. Looking into a fridge that hasn't been cleaned for a year or more means that there's going to be bits of rotting fruit, probably at the back of the shelf, where they can't be seen, but they're going to create a smell and bacteria that affect the rest of the content of the fridge. So obviously these things need to be cleaned out. So many of us hold beliefs that were formed in our childhood without realizing that. If you had an abusive childhood, for example, some of those beliefs might be quite dark, such as, I'm not worthy of any positive experiences in life, which would be a very moldy, rotten piece of fruit at the very back of the fridge. When you form this belief, you may have had a very chaotic childhood, you may have been in a dangerous situation, and maybe those beliefs at the time helped you to get through that situation. But what about now? Your parents may even have passed on. And so do those beliefs serve you now? They probably don't. And so we have to metaphorically clean out the fridge, throw away a lot of those moldy, rotten pieces of fruit, and also some other bits of food might be able to be transformed. Like maybe there's just wilted brown leaves on the outside, and you can take those outer leaves off and the inner is all right. But you must really have a look at your beliefs in order to clean out that fridge, so to speak. So how do we actually clean up our kitchen, our workspace, in order to cook lovely meals? The first part of the analogy, cleaning up the benches and organising the cupboards again, equates to our mind, as I said before. How do we clean up our mind? The aim is to have a quiet, calm space where you can be at peace in your own mind. One of the main ways to do this is meditation. And a lot of people don't know what meditation is. They think it's just sitting there with their eyes closed saying Om and wishing it was over. That's not meditation. Some people even go to a really extreme extent and they'll pay to do 10 days of Vipassana meditation, and they'll just sit there gritting their teeth and using their willpower to get it over and done with. And I've even heard spiritual people saying, oh, I just do that for the 10 days, get it over with, and then I don't have to think about it for the rest of the year. No, that's not how it works. In the same way that you need to tidy up your kitchen every day, you need to become aware of your thoughts and choose whether you're going to follow a thought or not. If you do follow that thought, then you know why you're following the thought. Meditation helps you to come into the present moment, to experience yourself in the present moment. And then when your thoughts come up, which inevitably they will, you acknowledge them. You look at the thought. If it's about your abusive childhood, you go, okay, there's a thought about my abusive childhood again. I acknowledge it and I'll put it to the background for now. And I'll come back to the present where I'm sitting here. It's a sunny day outside. I'm breathing. I'm meditating. And as each thought comes up, then you look at it, acknowledge it, and let it go to the background so that you can be in a space for a while where you're not racing. Your thoughts aren't racing and you're not following each thought unconsciously. This will help organize and clean your workspace of your mind. The second part of the analogy, addressing the dirty dishes and the rubbish piled up in the sink and on the benches, equates to the quality of your thoughts. So, for example, are you thinking about how your mother abused you when you were young? And are you cursing her and saying what a horrible person she was? The quality of these thoughts will be very damaging for you. So in this second stage, you can look at the quality of your thoughts, and with some of them you can reframe them. So with that example, you can reframe, and instead of saying what a horrible, disgusting person your mother was, you can bring compassion to the equation and say, she also had a really messy, dirty kitchen, so to speak, in her mind. And so she couldn't help me create a clean workspace because she didn't have one herself. She was just flailing around through life, winging it, and probably hanging on to her sanity by the skin of her teeth. So it wasn't that she had all this amazing information and skills, and she wasn't passing them on to you to try and hurt you. She wasn't able to pass on these things because she didn't have it. So to have the compassion and understanding to say, no, she just didn't really have what it took to acknowledge and address her own trauma, damage, and pain. And so she didn't know what she was doing. She couldn't help what she was doing. This is a much better quality of thought, and it's closer to the truth. You're not denying what happened, you're acknowledging it. Yes, my mother was very abusive to me and did some really harmful things to me, but it was because she didn't have the skills and she couldn't do any differently. This quality of thought is still acknowledging the truth, but it's not damaging you further. Instead of thinking how horrible it was and feeling anger or rage or depression or grief, when you think about your mother with compassion, it takes away those negative emotions, and you can even feel love for her because she was suffering and yet she still kept trying her best. Also look at the quality of the people around you in your life. Do you have people who, every time they see you, they are harshly criticizing you or putting you down, always chipping pieces off you to try and bring you down? This burden is too much. And so in order to clean those dirty dishes and throw away the rubbish, you might need to take a time out from abusive people who are currently in your life. You can do this with compassion, just gently, and then when you're free of the current insults and criticisms and abuse, then you've cleared a space and see how you manage without the extra burden of all those insults. You'll be able to clear away the dishes, throw away the rubbish, clean up the space, because you haven't got the constant burden of more dirty dishes coming in. So timeouts from abusive people is a very good strategy for self-care and to help clean up the quality of your thoughts. And the frequency and vibration that we carry right now will attract other people with that similar frequency and vibration, because there's a natural fit there. And the third part of the analogy, cleaning out the fridge. So having a look at our beliefs that we may have had for many, many years, decades, that we keep pushing to the back of our consciousness without looking at them. Like the rotten food in the fridge, these unhelpful beliefs are affecting our energy every minute of every day without us even knowing. So this is not easy to do. A lot of the time we will think our beliefs are just the truth, but they're not. They're the beliefs that we formed because of our conditioning. And they're not the absolute truth. We can look at those beliefs and choose to throw those ones out or modify them and bring in new beliefs that will be more conducive to raising our vibration. So, for example, if you had an abusive childhood and you believe that you are not worthy of having positive experiences in life, this is very destructive, and it will cause you to treat yourself badly and also attract others who treat you badly in line with your belief. You know, we push these things to the back of the fridge, but they're still able to be smelt and experienced, and they affect other pieces of food in the fridge. And it's the same with the beliefs. We think that they're hidden, but on an energetic level, people can sense it. And so if you feel that you're not worthy of positive experiences, then people who are also on that frequency will feel it. And if part of their journey is to insult and criticize others who don't feel that they're worthy, then they'll do that. They'll do that to you because there's a fit there. It's like a lock and a key fitting together. So look at these beliefs and decide whether you still need them or whether you want to throw them away. Usually these beliefs from our conditioned childhood were told to us. Like you may have been told by an abusive parent that you weren't worthy, you weren't good enough to have positive experiences. They might have told you that you were evil and responsible for all the problems in the family, and siblings shouldn't talk to you because you're such a bad influence. These things were never true. But as a child, you may have taken them in and made them your deep-seated belief, but they were never true. You were never evil. You were just being yourself. And the truth was probably that your parent had unresolved, unaddressed qualities in themselves they didn't want to look at. And so instead of addressing their own damage, they found it was easier to attribute those qualities to you instead of themselves. So it was never true about you. And you can look at yourself in the present and say, that was never true. And I believed that, but now I don't have to. Now I can throw that rotten food out, so to speak, into the bin and stock the fridge with fresh, healthy food. So fresh, healthy beliefs. I believe that I am worthy of all positive experiences in this life. And that is your choice. That will help raise your vibration, your frequency. It's a choice you can make. It's not easy though. None of these things are easy, but they need, in the same way that your kitchen needs to be maintained every day, these parts of yourself need to be monitored and maintained, cleaned up every day in order to affect the change that you want. These practices are difficult to establish and it takes time. can be a really slow process, but the important thing is that you are on the path of making that progress. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And if you persist, eventually you will change your vibration, your frequency, and start to be able to use your mind and your full potential to achieve what you want to in this life, to cook really lovely meals, so to speak, achieve all your dreams. And this is really why we're here. It's the most important work we can do in this lifetime. So I hope this has been helpful and interesting for you. Wherever you are in the world, I wish you love and courage on your journey. And I'll see you next time. Take care and bye for now.